files for dropped table. So now let's go for the next lesson, creating a lake database. So here, let's discuss some of the concepts of this lake database. So here, you will be discussing whatever we discussed in the previous concepts of external tables. But in effect to that, a lake database is one of the relational schema that will abstract the data in files. So data in a database can be ingested and updated directly in a file system. Okay, so here whenever you go with the relational lake database schema, it also supports with relational tables, and it will also provide you with the modeling principles, and it will also help you to provide the consistent naming conventions. And this lake database storage can be using the Parquet or CSV file in a data lake, and it can also be managed independently of the database, and it is a simplified data ingestion, we can say. And if you want to compute this lake database, you can either use serverless SQL pool, or either you can use the Apache Spark pool. Any which ways is okay. Next we have is database templates. So here, whenever you use this lake database, you will be finding the predefined templates for your business. You can just search for the templates and you can find the relevant database for your application. And in that, whatever is suitable for your application, you can keep those tables, and other things you can actually delete it and you can use it accordingly. So this lake database will also provide you with this predefined table definitions that you can actually use it. Okay. So next we have is the database designer. So this database designer can simplify the creation of complex database schema things, like you will be seeing these things in demo. And this is one of the visual tool for creating a database schema, we can say. And you can add some tables and you can specify it, and you can do a name, and you can set the storage settings for the table also. There you can provide the explicit names, what kind of key usages you can do, nullability, data types of each column, everything you can actually define it here. And you can also build the relationship between these key columns across the tables. Okay, we have one demo of this creating this lake database. So let's look into this demo and get back for the knowledge check. Being in this data page, switch back to the workspace tab, and make sure that there is no database in your workspace. Okay, so firstly we need to create a lake database for this. For that, you need to click on this menu, that is add new resource menu, and click on this lake database to open a new tab. Here you will be able to design your database schema, templates, everything. Okay, if this screen appears, just click on OK. So now let me minimize this. Okay, now in this properties pane for the new database, firstly change the name to retail db, retail db, and also verify that input folder property is automatically updated to file slash retail db like this, and leave this data format as delimited text only. So you could also use a Parquet format, and you can override the file format for individual tables also. But we will be using the comma delimited data in this exercise, so I'm just keeping this as it is. Okay. Now after you set this, after you set these things, you can just hide this properties tab, and on the top you can just select this publish button to save the database so far. Now again switch back to your data pane. Okay, now go to this link tab and expand this Azure Data Lake Storage Gen 2, and expand this primary data lake storage Gen 2, and select this file system. This should currently contain a folder named Synapse. Okay, it is containing a folder named Synapse. So in the files tab, whatever we have currently opened, I am supposed to use a new folder button. Okay. So here, click on this more and select this new folder button to create a new folder named retail db. So this will be the input folder for the data files used by the tables in your database. Just click on create. Now once this has been done, let's create a table. Now that you have been created a lake database, you can define its schema by creating the tables. Okay, let's see how you can define the table schema. Here I'll switch back to the retail DB tab for your database definition, and here I'll select this option plus table list, and I'll select the option called custom. So I'll choose this option, and you observe that the new table named table1 is being added to your database right now. So with this table1 being selected, so you need to go to this general tab here below. So in the general tab, so under this database design canvas, now change the name property to customer. So now it is table1, right? Just change it to customer. So now in the next phase, just scroll down and expand this storage settings for the table section. And here, once you expand, note that the table will be stored as a delimited text in the files slash retail db slash customer folder in the default data lake store for your Synapse workspace. So after this, go to this columns tab now. Here you note that by default, the table contains one column named column1. So now edit the column definition to match the following properties. You need to do it accordingly. So in the name part, I'll add it as customer ID. Okay, and let me tick this primary key, and in this description I'll select or I'll write unique customer ID. Okay, and for the nullability, don't do anything, and for this data type, change this to long from string. Okay, and after this, once this column is been set, we need to add one more column. So I'll just select this plus column list, and I'll select the new column, and again I'll modify the new column definition to add a first name column to the table as follows. So I'm adding first name like this, and I'll not select this primary key this time, and for the description you can write customer first name. You can add this, and for this nullability, don't tick it, and data type let it be string, and format length let it be 256. No changes. Okay, after this has been done, add more new columns until the table definition looks like this. Okay, so let's add another table columns right now in the similar fashion. So I'll just click on this column again, I'll add the new column. So this time I'll be adding the last name. So I'll select last name, last name like this. Don't touch this primary key, and here you write customer last name. Okay, and here for this last name you can accept nulls. Okay, no problem, you can just tick this, let it be string and 256. No changes. Now add one more column for storing your email address. So I'll add this new column, And this new column, I'll edit this column 1 to, let me edit this column 1 to email address. Email address, don't use the primary key. And for the description, you can write it as customer email. You can write it like this. And let the data type be string 256 only, no changes. Now let's add one more column for storing the phone number. Okay, so click on this column, new column, and here let's edit this and write it as phone. Write it as phone and don't use this primary key. Okay, and write the description as customer phone, and it can accept nulls, so click it and leave the data type as string only 256. So when you have added all the columns, we need to publish the database again to save the changes. So I'll click on this publish to save the database changes. Now after you publishing is been completed, expand this in your data pane on your left. Switch back to the workspace tab so that now you could see a retail DB lake database. Then you can also expand it and its tables folder. Here you can see a customer table is been created, and you can also expand the columns, so you can see all of the columns we actually created right now. So after you complete creating a table, the next step you have is to load a data into a table storage path, right? So to do that, so in the main page here, I'll switch back to this files tab, which contains the file system with the retail DB folder. Then I'll open this retail DB folder. So inside this, I'll create a new folder and I'll name this new folder name as customer. Okay, and I'll just click on create. This is where the customer table will get its data. Now I'll open this customer folder. So currently it has been empty. Now let's download the customer.csv data file from this new website. So I'll just go to this new tab. Here I'll just paste the link and I'll just click on enter. So here you can see the data. You right click and you can give save as, and in the downloads section I'm saving it as customer.csv. It's a CSV file. I'll click on save. So now the file has been downloaded, and later we need to upload this file to that retaildb.customer folder. So I'll just go here. So in this folder, I'll just click on this upload button to upload the customer.csv file. I'll just click on this file to browse for the data. I'll go to this downloads and select this customer.csv file. Okay, and I'll click on upload. Okay, now the upload has been successfully completed. Now let me expand this. So being in the data pane on your left side, so in the workspace tab, so here what you can do is, for the menu of this customer table, I'll select new SQL script and select top 100 rows. Okay, so after I choose this, in this new SQL script 1 pane that has been opened, make sure that this built-in SQL pool is been connected and use the run command to execute this run command you need to use. Wait for this query to complete its execution. Now the query is successfully executed, and this should include the first 100 rows from the customer table based on the data that has been stored in the folder in the data lake. Okay, so now you got the result. Now just close this SQL script 1, discarding the changes. Okay, now in the next phase, let's create a table from a database template. Okay, see, as you have seen, you can create the tables you need in your lake database from scratch. However, Azure Synapse Analytics will also provide the numerous database templates based on the common database workloads, and also it entities that you can use as a starting point for your database schema. Okay, now let's define the table schema. So to do so in this main pane, you need to switch back to this retail DB pane, which contains your database schema that is currently containing your customer table. So again, in this, you need to select this plus table menu, and this time don't select custom, but select from template. Okay, so once you click on this, here you will be having a lot number of templates like agriculture, automotive, banking, consumer goods, and everything. So here in this add from template page, you need to select the retail. You can search for the keyword. I'll search for retail. Okay, you can select this retail and click on continue. And in this add from template retail page, wait for the table list to populate. Once it has been populated, make sure you expand the product. So search for this product, you expand this product, and here you select the retail product table. So just scroll down. Yes, here the retail product is there. Okay, once you select this, click on add. This adds a new table based on the retail product template to your database like this. So in this retail DB pane, being in this pane, you need to select the new retail product table. So you need to select it like this. And once you select this, in this general tab, change the name to product. Okay, and verify that the storage settings. Just scroll down and here expand the storage settings and look into the path. So here it is, the input folder is files retail db / product. So here it has been saving. So after this has been verified, switch to the columns tab for the product table. So here you need to note that the table already contains large number of columns that has been inherited from the templates. So you can actually expand this and see the number of columns that has been inherited. So there are more columns than required for this table, so we need to remove some. Okay, so here let's select the checkbox. So to select the name, to select all of the columns first, you can just click on this name to select all of the columns, and then you need to unselect the following columns. So like product ID you remove, and product name you can remove, and you can remove the other columns. Like just scroll down and check which one can be removed. So I'll just search for this introduction date. You can just remove this column, and you need to remove actual abandonment date. You can just remove, and then the next step you can remove product gross weight. So you can select this product gross weight, you can remove this, and you can remove item SKU. Item SKU, you can also remove this column. Okay, so now after you remove all of these things, on this toolbar in the columns pane, you can select delete to remove the selected columns. So these selected columns will be removed. So we just select unchecked of which all columns that we actually needed, but now we are deleting which all columns that is actually not required. Okay, so click on this delete to remove the selected columns. So this should only leave you with these following columns like product ID, name, introduction date, actual abandonment date, and product gross weight and item SKU. Only these columns it has to leave it for you. And now after this thing is being done, now let's add a new column named list price for this. So you need to follow the same steps. Click on this column and select this new column and write the column name as list price, and here you can give the description as the product price, the product price you can give it, and you can keep the data type as decimal. Okay, select this decimal and let it be 18,2 itself, no problem. So after this, when you have modified these columns as shown, we need to publish this to save the changes. So I'll click on this publish database again to save the changes. Wait for it to successfully complete. So now being in this data pane, let's switch back to this workspace tab. So here we will be using the menu for the tables folder. Here we have only customer tables is being signed right now. We don't have that the other product table is not being seen. So let me refresh this. Okay, you can use this refresh button to refresh it. So if you expand this tables, now you can see a product table is being seen. So this is a newly created product table. You can also refer to the columns also. That all we actually persisted. Now after this has been created, let's load a data into the tables storage path. Okay, so in the main pane, let's switch back to this files tab. Okay, let's switch back to this files tab which contains the file system, and you need to navigate back to this files.retaildb folder. So this currently contains the customer folder for the table that we actually created previously. So now in this retaildb folder, let me create one more new folder. Okay, just click on more and select this new folder. So this time I'll give the folder name as product. Okay, and I'll be clicking on create. This is where the product table will get its data. Now open this product folder. Currently it is actually empty. We need to download the product.csv data file from this website. So I'll go into the new tab, and from this GitHub we'll be downloading this. I'm pasting this link for this product.csv file. Let me do a right click and click on save as, and I'll download this product.csv file. So after this download is being completed, we need to upload the data to this folder. I'll just click on this upload again, and I'll select the files, click on this, and I'll select this product.csv, and I'll select this upload. Now after the upload is been successful, just re-expand this in the data pane on the workspace tab for this menu. Okay, for this product menu, just select this new SQL script and select top 100 rows. Now in this new SQL script one that has been opened, make sure it is been connected to this built-in SQL pool is been connected. After this has been selected, you can click on run button to run the SQL code, and you should wait for this results. So now the query is successfully executed. So this should include first 100 rows from the product table based on the data that is stored in the underlying folder in the data lake. Okay, now you can close the SQL script one by discarding your changes. So after this step is been completed, let's create a table from existing data. So far you have created the tables and then populated them with the data. So in some cases you may already have the data in the data lake from which you want to derive the table. So let's see how you can upload and how you can derive it from the same. Okay, so now in this main menu pane, I'm in the files tab right now. I'll switch back to this retail DB. Okay, folder which currently contains customer and product folder for the tables you have been created previously. So in this retail DB folder, let me create a new folder named sales order. So I'll just click on this new folder and I'll give the name as sales order. Sales order. Now I'll click on this create. So now I'll open the sales order folder. Currently it is being empty. Now we need to download one sales order.csv data file from a GitHub repository. So let me go to this new tab. Let me paste this URL from where you can get this file, sales order.csv. Do a right click, click on save as and download the sales order.csv file. Now after the file has been downloaded, let me click on this upload and select from where the file has to be uploaded. I'm selecting sales order.csv and I'll click on upload here. Once the upload is been successful, what you need to do is we need to create a table. So for that, in the main pane, I'll switch back to this retail DB pane which contains your database. Now I'll click on this table menu and I'll select from data lake. So here in the external table name, I'll give the name as sales order and I'll select the link services as the Synapse link services. For this input folder, I'll select this files, retail DB and sales order. This one I'll be selecting and I'll click on OK. So now continue to the next page and you need to create the table with the following options. So for this, file type CSV, field delimiter let it be default comma, and for the first row leave infer column names unselected, don't check this, and for string delimiter let it be default empty string, use default type that has been default type true or false, maximum string length let it be 4000. Okay, so now after you checking this option, click on create. Okay, so now after this you can see a sales order is being created. So now that includes the column names like C1, C2 and so on, and that data type have been inferred from the data in the folder. So now let's modify this column definition as follows. Okay, so to do that, I'll switch back to this columns tab, and in this standard column what I'll do, I'll change this C1 to sales order ID and I'll select this primary key, and in the description I'll write the unique identifier of an order. I'll just write this. Nullability, no nulls can be allowed for primary key. Data type, let it be long, don't change it. So in the next step, just scroll down. Now for C2, change it to, order date, and here in the description you can write the date of the order. You can write this, and you can also remove this nullability, and the data type, let it be timestamp, and don't change this format. So for the C3, what you can do is you can modify it to line item ID, and you can choose this primary key ticked, and you can write the description as the ID of an individual line item, you can write, and then for this data type, let it be long and no changes for the format. So once this line item is done, add the next column with customer ID, and you can mention the description as the customer. Okay, and remove this null, and then don't change this data type, let it be long. And in the next step, select product ID, and here you can write the product, and don't change the data type, let it be long, but remove this nullability. For the last column, we can add it as quantity, don't use this primary key, and you can write the description as the order quantity. You can write this and remove this null, let it be long itself, don't make any changes. So here you can note that the table contains a record for each individual item ordered and includes a composite primary key composed of sales order ID and line item ID. Both the things are there. So here on this relationships tab for the sales order table, okay, on this relationship tab for the sales order table, you can just select this. You can add this relationship list, select this to table, and you can add this relationship. Like for this from table, you can just select it as customer, and from column you can select it as customer ID, and for the two table relationship, that is sales order, and for the two column relationship, that is customer ID, we are linking. So now let's add a second to table relationship with the following settings. Okay, so now what you can do is you can add the relationship again, add this to table. This time you select the product relationship from table, and for from column you can select the product ID, and to table, that is sales order, and the column will be product ID this time, this one. Okay, so here you can see the ability to define the relationship between tables that will actually help you to enforce the referential integrity between the related data entities. So this is a common feature of relational database that would otherwise be difficult to apply to the files in a data lake. Now after you just done with this, click on this publish the database again to save the changes. Once the publishing is been successful, so expand this being in the data pane, Switch back to this workspace tab so you can see this retail DB lake database. Then you can use this menu for its tables folder like this, and you can just refresh to see the sales order table. Now it has been listed, and you can expand and you can see the columns and everything. Okay, now let's work with the lake database tables. See, now that you have some tables in your database, you can use them to work with the underlying data also. So now first step, let's query the tables using SQL. So to query those things, you are supposed to go to the develop page here, and here you need to select this add new resource menu, and you need to select the SQL script. So once you select this new SQL script pane will open like this. Okay, so in this new SQL script one pane, ensure that the script is connected to built-in SQL pool, and in the user database list here, make sure it has been changed to retail DB, not to the master. Okay, after this has been set, you need to enter this following SQL code here. Supposed to enter the SQL code here, and I'm selecting the sales order ID, email address, product name, quantity from sales order, and I'm also doing some join operation with customer and product table. So just execute this using this run button. Now this result should show the order details with customer and product information. Okay, along with the product information, it is showing you the result. Now after this has been executed, you can close the SQL script by discarding the changes, no issues. And after this has been done, let's see how to insert the data using Spark. Okay, so to do so, let me expand this in this develop pane, expand this and select this add new resource menu, and this time you select the notebook. Here you can see a new notebook has been opened, and it is asking you to attach to this Spark pool. Okay, firstly you attach to your Spark pool. The Spark pool you need to attach it first, and once it has been attached, you need to enter the following code in this empty notebook. So this time I'm inserting a data into retail DB and sales order, and I'm providing the values. So let me use this run cell button on the left on the cell to run it, and you need to wait for it to finish its execution. So initially it will take some time. Why? Because it has to start the session and attach to your Spark pool and everything. The job execution has been succeeded. Now after this, let's use this code button to add a new cell to a notebook. Let me add this, and here I'll enter the following code in a new cell. Okay, and this time I'm selecting the all the records from retail DB and sales order, and where sales order ID is 99999, this one I'm just selecting this run cell. Okay, now you can verify that a row for sales order 99999 was inserted into sales order table. Okay, so now after you have done exploring these things, you can just close this notebook, and you can just click on the stop session, and you can discard the changes. Okay, now you have been finished exploring Azure Synapse Analytics. Yes, now that you just saw the demo of creating that lake database, now let's go for this quick knowledge check. So which of the following statement is true for a lake database? Yeah, you're right. That is a relational schema overlaid on the underlying files and can be queried using a serverless SQL pool or a Spark pool. So you need to create a new lake database for a retail solution. What's the most efficient way to do this? You're right. Start with the retail database template in Azure Synapse Studio and adapt it as necessary. So you have a Parquet file in an existing data lake folder for which you want to create a table in a lake database. So what should you do? Yes, you are right. You can use the database designer to create a table based on the existing folder. It's now that we are done for today's agenda. That is, we have completed this module along with the demonstrations that we have completed. Okay, now it's time for the discussion. So we have our chat moderators with us. So if you want to have a discussion with any of the questions or something, you can just drop a text on your question panel so that our chat moderators will be helping you in that. So also complete the homeworks, whatever has been provided for you, and complete that accordingly. And we'll meet you back in the tomorrow's session. Thank you so much. Have a great learning, everyone. Thank you.